Okay, so we're doing a significance test with our least squares regression line. So let me write that out. Sig test for our least squares regression line. Okay? There are many significance tests we could do. I'll just name a few. We could do a significance test for correlation. Or for no correlation. And that would look like a null hypothesis that the correlation is 0, an alternative hypothesis that the correlation is not 0. We could do a significance test for the slope of the regression line. And if I want to compare that to a test of correlation, that would be a null hypothesis that the slope is 0 versus an alternative hypothesis that the slope is not 0. We can also test for a positive or a negative slope. Or we can test for the slope being some number. When we test for the slope being, no, I won't go into that. I won't go into that. That's just going to muddy the water right now. But anyway, if we're going to test for correlation, it's going to be the exact same test as the slope not being equal to 0. Yeah, they're the same procedure, same thing. Except, okay, slope is 0. No correlation. Slope rho is not equal to 0. So this means my null is that there is correlation. My alternative is no correlation. And this is slope is 0 or slope is non-zero. Would give me the same kind of test. Oh, that's a rho, and that's an RHO. And for the population, it's rho, and for the sample, it's known as R. Come on. Let me, so if I have, oh, wait. There is correlation. There is not correlation. There we go. Does that look right? If my R is 0, I have no correlation. If my R is something other than 0, then I have some correlation. Yes. Thank you. Sorry. Did that backwards. Okay. Moving along. Let's, what would you like to test for with the beaver data? Do you want to test for correlation? Or do you want to test for whether or not the more beavers there are, the more beetles there are? Or whether or not there is some kind of slope of that line? So you want to test to see if there's more, the more beavers there are, the more beetles there are? Okay. So if an increase of beavers relates to an increase of beetles. Not the singing kind. Okay. So let me do my step 1 here. I'm going to name my population and my proportion. I'm sorry. I'm going to name my population and my parameter here. So I'm going to do slope, because that would be an increase of beavers would be an increase of beetles. That would be slope. So beta is the slope of the least squares regression line. Of beetles given beavers. I need to talk about my null and alternative hypotheses. Well, either beta 0 or we said an increase, so we're talking about a positive slope. Okay. This is a significance test.
Can you also say for the hypothesis, null hypothesis, that B is less than 0?
For my null hypothesis, you could say that it's less than or equal to 0. There always should be an equal in here somewhere. So you can actually call it less than or equal to 0. And it used to be we always called them less than or equal to 0. Now that kind of has changed, but anyway, it's this means less than or equal to 0. Yeah, I think so too. I think they should have left it so that it was more clear. So we're doing a significance test for the slope of the least squares regression line for our population. We're going to use a t distribution again. We want a random sample. I guess so. I don't know if it was. I'll say sure it is. We need to test for independence of our responses. So CE of responses. So do you think these beetle larvae are, the number of beetle larvae is an independent kind of measurement? I think so. Okay. We need to check for linearity. That's where I'm going to pull out my calculator. Now that I have entered my data, let me just plot that data. That's where you can see it. So I'll go a little scatter plot. List 1 and list 2. Zoom 9. Oh, that looks pretty good. So you would want to make a little sketch of that. Let me see.
The scatter plots don't have to be exact.
Unless you are asked, unless somebody tells you to make a scatter plot, then you don't have to. If you're checking conditions with a scatter plot, you don't have to make it nicely scaled and everything. You can do a sketch. If you are making a graph and you want to display a graph for purposes of analyzing a graph, you better put scale and labels and everything. So looks pretty strongly linear.